to Put This On Season 5, Episode 49, where we watch The Great Pottery Showdown, Season 4, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz. Okay, guys. Great one. It's Noah, then Brian.
I thought it was Brian. Yeah, we're going hot this week. This is Noah Singer.
This is Brian.
If this is your first time listening, we watch a different reality show each week, discuss it in its minute detail, and figure out if it's good, bad, indifferent, or terrible. Noah, what did we watch this week?
From the creators of the Great British Bake Off comes a pottery version of the popular competition with a unique format. 10 contestants are selected to participate from a group of home potters who aspire to make it as a top potter. Each episode shows footage filmed over a 4-day period during which the amateur potters are given a series of assignments to complete. Industry experts Kate Malone, Keith Brymer-Jones judge the finished pieces while Sarah Cox presents. Challenges include the spot test, which aims to assess technical abilities, and the throwdown, where timing is everything. That is the great pottery throwdown, not the British Bake Off, the pottery throwdown on HBO Max.
Thank you, Noah. And so the show is a standard competition show, 10 people competing and some sort of pottery challenge. So let's get into this specific episode. There's isn't a whole lot of setup. We've got 10 people. They're making pottery. So if you don't know what making pottery is, you have a wheel and there's like some sort of clay. You mold the clay, you heat it up. It goes from clay shape to like a pottery shape. Then you heat it up again, and you got some sort of tea set or cheese set, as I meant to say. As this week's challenge was they had to make a cheese set. So they had to make a fondue bowl, some sort of cheese pot, cheese dome, and 2 pickle jars out of clay. And can someone tell me what the fuck a pickle jar is for?
I mean, like, it's just a jar for like pickled stuff.
So you're pickling things in this jar. Like you're making pickles?
Unclear if you're pickling it in that jar or just serving pickled items in the jar.
Yeah.
Why is that part of a cheese set?
Because you need stuff to like dip inside the cheese.
So you're pickles in the cheese?
I don't know. I've never really used a fondue set.
I don't understand this. Like a pickle jar. Can you internet corner this pickle jar for me? I feel like it's a lot of conjecture going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, so my interpretation of it, I'm gonna find there's like a complete definition. Pickle jar in this context is more just saying to the rough dimensions the judges wanted. Whether you put like breadsticks in a jar, vegetables in a jar, pickled vegetables in a jar, do whatever you want.
I feel like pickled vegetables are never making it in this jar.
For fondue, that seems odd.
Yeah.
Well, this is for cheese. The like cheese dome wasn't for the fondue stuff, was it? It wasn't a fondue set. It was a cheese set.
Yeah, because they also had like a cheese platter and stuff.
No, there's not. The cheese platter was just the cheese dome thing.
Yeah.
It was a cheese platter with a dome on it.
Yeah.
Then there was a fondue bowl. And then there were pickle jars, which that's why I'm just asking what pickle jars are.
So it seems like that it's a bit of a 2-in-1. So it is meant to be like a bit of a certain size, but porcelain is good for pickling because it's good preservative and keeps germs, bacteria, and fungus away.
Interesting. So it doesn't need to be vacuum sealed.
You would use this to pickle things. That's why it's called pickle jar.
That's what the internet is pointing me towards.
Maybe in modern day and age where no one real pickles anything, this is just you put like peanuts in here or like.
I think you grossly underestimate people pickling stuff.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of people pickling stuff.
People be pickling.
Okay, the two of you, what have you pickled?
Oh,
nothing because I don't like pickles or pickled stuff.
I love pickles, but I just didn't go that far into the hipster world. But like,
it's just like I'm just telling you that there's 99.9% of people have never pickled anything in their lives.
Maybe. It's a big. I mean, it has been.
I
A
could
big
pull
hipster
1,000
trend.
people out my door right now and be like, have you ever made pickles? Have you ever pickled any? Like, we're talking South Korea. Okay. They're going to elevate this game a lot,
Yeah.
because, that kimchi. But in general, Western society, pickling is not a huge thing. Anyway,
I think you're generalizing a lot.
I am general. Like, send me the polls. I'm waiting for the numbers here. We got to move on. We got to talk about the rest of the show. So let's take a step back. Let's talk about this host and the two judges. Which the host, they never really said what her name was. As far as I didn't get it. I didn't catch it.
I definitely missed a lot of it, but the same
Uh,
host from.
but she is like trying to be a comedian of sorts and make
Yeah.
jokes throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
She
Her name
wasn't-
is Siobhan McSweeney.
Siobhan McSweeney. So she's the head of social distancing, which is not true because everyone's living in a pod. So they're all self-quarantining, which we have to get into how long the show is in a bit. But Brian, what is your take on the host here?
Honestly, I like their attitude. I think that they're very positive and just like fun loving. Like you see like all these other like hosts like with like cooking shows, and sometimes you get like the Gordon Ramsay where like they're really negative and it's like, oh yeah, maybe this like won't work. Like these hosts seem like pretty hopeful.
Well, just the host. The other two are
Yeah.
judges.
Yeah, and she does make like a lot of like jokes. But
Well, I was
It's
just
all
saying,
good
what do
fun.
you think of her jokes? Really, like, is she a good comedian, bad comedian? Did
I
you
think-
laugh?
yeah, I laughed because like she knows what she's about. She's about terrible jokes, and they're great. She like leans into them.
All right, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
An important update. In 2015, there was a survey of millennials and their pickling habits. Half of the millennials, roughly 50% of millennials in the summer of 2015, said they have at least one mason jar at home and they would be interesting in pickling or canning that summer.
Okay,
That does
but
not mean any of those people pickled
No.
or canned.
No, there's only so many surveys people are running out there, but there is high intent to pickle.
That doesn't. There's no,
No.
like just
Mi-
your intent on pickling, Noah. Like,
owning
oh,
a mason
would
jar
you
is not
pickle?
intent to pickle.
No one's pickling.
In this survey as well, then this will be the last stat. 86% of people enjoy pickles. A lot of people like pickles.
Yeah, Brian, be in that minority.
Yeah, it's fine.
No,
They can enjoy
what
all the
is your
pickled shit.
what is your take on this host? Did you like her jokes? Not like her jokes?
I'm similar to Brian, like very upbeat. She's not like overly funny, but just has a very positive attitude towards her and keeps things pretty light. On the binary scale, I'm gonna say good instead of bad.
All right. I think she's kind of meddling. Some points I thought she was annoying, but then some parts she came back and thought it was funny. So like, I feel like the more I watch, the more I might like her. I don't think the more I watch, I'd hate her more. So like, I think that she has that going for her, and especially this is season 4. So if you've seen other seasons, like, I think she's done the other ones. So
Kind of surprised. I've always known you to like be about bad jokes.
just if they're annoying, I just like part of the show like drags a little bit, and I think part of it is her. And like they try to inject her jokes to make it seem like it's not dragging as much. So it's like not super indictment of her, but that's just
so-
kind of where my head's at.
She only became the host of the show this season.
Oh,
Yeah, past season, I can't find it immediately who the host was. But, Sarah Cox. They're just a
Okay.
different person. Radio personality, Switch TV.
well, while we're on this, Noah, are you on the Wikipedia?
Yeah.
When were these seasons like aired? Like season 4 on HBO Max, like this wasn't even a launch show for HBO Max. So like,
No, so this is a BBC show.
okay.
It seems weird. It seems like maybe some seasons aired on BBC, some on Channel 4. TLDR public broadcasting in the UK, so HBO is just getting the rights to
The
distribute.
US rights, probably. Okay. So when were the seasons filmed? Like this was obviously 2020, I imagine.
Well, this one they filmed during COVID 2021, season 3
2021.
2020, season 2 2017, season 1 2015.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
now we're talking about.
it's very much like, we get to our questions like what's apparent. It is intentionally supposed to be the sister show of Great British Bake Off,
Yeah.
and then British Bake Off has another child, the Great British Sewing Bee.
Ooh, future maybe. Let's talk about the two judges quickly. There isn't really too much to say about them, but we've got Keith, we've got Rich. They're pretty good judges. I think they provide great feedback. They provide really good positive feedback when needed, and like they soften their negative feedback a bit. The only time where they were like the bad guy judges were the second challenge, which we'll get into. But I think they did a pretty good job. I think that they take the Great British Baking Show kind of judges to heart.
Yeah, very good judges. Like the technical details they point out, and like how Keith actually like does something just shows off how damn good he is. I think we got to touch into the crying. Like I think it's very nice to see, but it seems like that is part of his shtick almost to get super emotional.
Yeah. Back this up. No, when did he cry? I remember him crying, but then they kept making jokes about it, and I didn't remember. I have a short memory, apparently.
Yeah, they mentioned something he mentioned something in the beginning. He's like, "Excuse me for crying," and like not knowing him, you're kind of like, "Oh, okay, sure." And then he cries at like 2 or 3 of some of the final reveals of people's cheese plates. He doesn't really describe why. He just seems to be overtaken by emotion on like
It's an emotional moment, though. To see the beautiful cheese plates and the beautiful cheese he's gonna put on these cheese plates.
Yeah.
I cry when I think about cheese as well.
I mean,
he's more crying about the cheese, I think.
I'm envious. Like, I don't think I have a connection to any inanimate thing where on several times it's going to make me cry on its perfection.
All right. Yeah. Well, there you have it. I don't think a lot of people do. I think this guy's a little sticky, I think. To be honest. Let's talk about this COVID bubble for a second here. Because like everyone's in a bubble. So it's a very, safe show. But like in your description, you said there's 4 days per episode.
Yeah. So I was going to say something right after I read it. I'm reading the series description, or I read, not this season's description.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I was going to say this episode seemed like it was 2 days or 2.5 days, really.
This was 3 days at least.
No,
because you had the first day was like making the stuff. The second, so then you had to like bake that thing for 24 hours, which is when they did the second challenge, and then the third part of it was doing the painting and kilning, and then the fourth day was the judging. So 4 days.
No, I thought. Well, let's take a step back here. Okay, let's talk. We'll talk about it now. So first challenge, they get 3 hours, and then they're turn clay to like pots. Then it goes into this thing for 24 hours, right? And then after the 24 hours, then they have 2.5 hours to like paint it and glaze it. And then it goes back in the kiln, and then it comes back out and they judge it. All of that can be done in 2 days. They're all like 2.5 days. Like they'll spend 3 hours, then it spends 24 hours. After that's done, then you go back in the studio, you do the painting, then it goes back in the kiln, then it comes back out, then you do the judging. So that's like on the third day would be the judging. You could definitely fit in that 15-minute challenge on any day, Brian. You don't take a whole day to do that 15-minute challenge.
No, I just think that like they did that because of like how long they were baking this stuff. Like I'm
just saying like you can fit it in. I think that's why we were gonna get into that. Well, let's just get into the production schedule right now because we're deep into it. I think that's you only give them 2.5 hours so you can do this and then potentially get your next challenge in on that same day. On day 3,
you're just like you're just burning them out so bad. It's like,
What do you mean?
okay,
They're working 3 hours a day, Brian. How are they burning out?
because like
Day
your
one,
muscles,
3 hours.
Your hands are still muscles. You still need them to like do stuff.
Well, you're on a competition. Quit being a pansy. You had 3 hours day one, 3 hours day two, 3 hours day three. Like there's just 3 hours a day until this thing's over. Maybe you get an extra day in there where you do like a long challenge, like an 8-hour challenge. Maybe, I don't know.
8 hours is so long for a challenge like of this type.
Yeah, but then we'll look at some of these. Some of these needed 8 hours. Some of these needed at least like double the amount of time that they had. You could just make better stuff in longer amount of times, Brian. Like,
yeah, but you're like, I don't know, like doing. This was interesting because I thought that like even like 3 hours like super compressed, and then like the second challenge was just like them like rapidly like doing stuff.
I don't get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that you do this whole show in a couple weeks. Like, you're taking them away from their family. Like, you can't be 32 days, which would be a 4-day schedule, like this description said.
Like, I think a month is like reasonable for that. Like,
you think that all these 10 people are going away from their family for a month? That's just not happening.
I think that they had mentioned that they sacrifice a lot for this.
I think it's 3 weeks max.
Right.
They only need 8 challenges. There's 8 episodes. Well, there's 10 episodes, so I guess maybe you need more.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like the actual schedule. It's hard to find, but there's some clues that helps us make more informed guesses to a degree. So first thing, this aired in January 2021. So I was wrong. They taped it in 2020.
Okay.
Second thing, the only thing I could find is in the 4th episode, filming ceased for 7 days to ensure the safety of everyone on the show due to COVID.
Oh, well, that'll increase your time for sure.
Yeah, but why? Like, they were in a bubble. What?
Well, apparently the bubble got breached, Brian.
Yeah, so it's either their bubble got breached and so they had to pause, or they were actually taping this in like February, March. And at episode 4, they're like, well, let's just keep going.
I don't know.
But
they labeled it as a COVID bubble, and they said they were family already, like, because they were living together.
Yeah, they did mention it, right?
So, like, that's not a valid one. Maybe season 3, because it was aired in 2020. But
so what I found out, season 3 aired in January 2020.
Okay.
And yes, so that's COVID free.
COVID free. This is a COVID bubble. All right, let's get into this challenge here. First challenge. Let's get into the challenge and the contestants here. I've gotten them all written down and what they did, and we can talk about what we thought of their plates. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe before we do this, let's talk about the second challenge, because it's just like, then we'll get into all the characters, real people. So the second challenge was the judge came in and made a chalice. And all of these people, like, really quickly, really well done. Like, I'd buy that chalice. Like, give me that chalice. Fire that up. Give it to me. But then, so all the contestants had to make as many chalices as possible in 15 minutes. And then the judges come around, judge their chalices, throw away the bad ones into the rubbish bin. And this is where the one judge actually gets a little mean, where they're like, that's shitty. Boom. And it's probably the most negative part of the show, to be honest. And then there was like, somebody won because they had the most chalices and the best looking chalices of the most. And somebody lost, which we can get into when we talk about them if we want. But that's kind of this challenge. That was kind of cool. I thought this was an interesting challenge.
Yeah, and I bet that this was like a past challenge too. Like, it didn't seem that mean, because like everybody was like, they were aware of the bucket of doom, and it was just like, yeah, I know, like, that's not as great. Like, they all seemed like really like critical of themselves, but like still positive.
No, I'm just saying this is probably the most negative part. Like, I'm just saying that like everything's upbeat. I would say the whole show's upbeat, but this is like a weird tone. Not necessarily bad, but it it's not good. Like it's not like
Yeah.
these are great chalices, guys. Though this one's a little wobbly, we're gonna throw this one away. It's like no, this one, boom. Like they're like this one's. Look at this one's all boom. Like they're not. They're being a little harsh for like a tone of like upbeat stuff.
Yeah, but the bucket was pretty good theatrics. It made for good TV.
Yeah.
You love the thunk.
Yeah.
Donk. Sorry for hopefully that's not hurting anyone's ears out there. So let's get back to the contestants and we'll talk about maybe both their challenges. Doesn't really matter. Let's talk about who do I have written down first? We've got Lee. Lee's theme for his cheese platter was bees. He's like
Lee's cheesy bees.
Lee's bees.
Otherwise, in America, known as Rob Corddry.
Wait, what?
That one.
You guys didn't notice he is like identical twins to Rob Corddry?
No, I don't know who Rob Corddry is.
This Lee guy?
Oh yeah. All right. Well, for those at home, it's Rob Corddry, just British and makes pottery.
Oh, this dude's definitely Rob Corddry.
You know what he looks like now?
I mean, I just quickly Googled it, and like the first picture, I'm like, yep.
Oh, there you go. Now you know who.
Yeah, he's Hot
we're
Tub Time
painting
Machine.
pictures here for you.
He's Lou from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, okay. I could a little bit.
A lot of it.
Well, I have a hard time picturing this guy Lee, so it could be this. Could look exactly the same, and I probably would just say a little bit anyway. I thought his like cheese plate was really cool. They had like his like cheese platter. I don't know, like looked like a honeycomb kind of thing. It looked very like honey colored, which was it was pretty good. I feel like this could go in a Winnie the Pooh set. Like,
I mean, cheese, honey, like both yellow, and they go well together. I think it'll work out.
It was very good. Very good.
I definitely like the style a lot.
there's nothing really to say about his character, like his like real persona.
Yeah. Nope. That was also one thing. Like you mentioned, like this show dragged on. Like this show kind of flew for me. Like I didn't really like they couldn't like touch on like any of these like details. Like sometimes they like briefly touch on a sob story, but then like even like the details of the plates, sometimes they're just like, oh yeah, that's really good, great. Then move on to the next one. We have to talk about the next one.
Yeah, well, let's talk about. Oh, I gotta sneeze. You guys talk.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we got Henry next. Henry was the juggler, and
He's the youngest.
Yeah, he was one of the youngest person. No, Alan was the youngest, right? He was 20 years old.
Oh, you're right.
But Henry like brought a spoon from home. It's his favorite spoon. And was making like a pretty cool textured.
He did a
like
beach scene. His was
Yeah, it was a
beach
beach
themed, where he had like waves. His idea was waves, and it was different, like what did they call it? Unlacquered something, unwaxed,
Unglazed.
unglazed. That's what I'm looking for. Versus like a glazed section that the judges really liked. I thought looked okay. I wouldn't buy that in a store. I think that would look weird.
I'm with you, Chris. I think it like came out okay, but I wasn't like super impressed versus like some of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's not in the top. It came out okay. Like there's a coherent theme. Everything looked fine. Give him a pass.
Yeah.
Although he did come in last in the chalice competition. So it's something to note if anyone cares. Let's talk about Hannah. Hannah did like her theme was around her grandfather or dad's paintings.
Grandfather. Yeah.
Grandfather. Yeah. I wrote down dad, so I was like, that's not right, but I would said anyway. This one turned out, I thought fine. It was a little kind of, I think, meddling, but it was a coherent theme. It was blue with like splotches in it, I guess.
It had a good abstract theme. I kind of liked it, but I was more impressed than like Henry's.
Yeah.
You were more impressed with Henry's.
No, I was less. I was more impressed with hers than like Henry's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
One thing to know with hers is like, this is a good time to talk about this. So they go through this process where they paint it, and then it goes back in the kiln and it comes back out, and they don't get to see the final results until they see the final result with the judges. So it's covered and they have to uncover it with the judges. And a couple people were overly negative about their particular set, especially Hannah, because it didn't actually look like her grandfather's paintings, but it was inspired by the grandfather's paintings. So the judges liked it because it was cohesive and everything looked similar, but she didn't like it because it didn't look like her grandfather's paintings. And I think that you can't be doing that in any competition. You got to be like, oh, either keep your mouth shut or pretend like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for.
I do agree. But it did give me like a sense of like, these people really, really care about their craft like so deeply that like they don't care. Like they're just like, we're putting our heart and soul into it. And I mean, to me, that was also a little uplifting.
I mean, that's fine. I'm just saying,
yeah,
if you want to win,
it's not the smart move, guaranteed. Like if you bring like any negativity around the judges, then it's like, well, that's in their head now when they go to judge your stuff.
Yeah, they definitely, compared to other reality shows, they seem more in it for the love than the competition.
I mean, it's very much a Great British Bake Off kind of feel and vibe. Like people are coming in and helping people and like, you know, giving people tips and stuff and like being more buddy and not like, I need this money. Get the fuck off my back. You get in that water. Like you get out of this show. Give me the money. Which is definitely the theme in some other shows. Namely a lot of the US space shows. Let's talk about Shenyu.
Shenyu's was so good. She made like one that was
Starry Night. Yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say it's the top, but very well done.
I would have bought that. Like all the handles were like moon shaped, like little stars and like painting. Like I really like that. I feel like that was like just a great like date piece.
Do you have a fondue set, Brian?
I should get one.
Why?
I don't like cheese. I don't know.
Cheese.
But do you like dipping things in melted cheese?
I mean, I haven't done it enough. Maybe I could. I like melted cheese.
I feel like you'd want like a cheese fountain. A cheese fountain sounds more fun than like a fondue pot.
The thing is, a cheese fountain just doesn't feel as like classy as a fondue set. Like you think about like a cheese fountain, I just think about like Velveeta like going through it.
Yeah,
it was like a fondue set.
You usually use like fondue cheese. You don't really use like Velveeta. It's a little thick.
No, but like Velveeta, you need to like it's got a consistency where like you can pump it up through the fountain. Like you need like a thin cheese to be able to pump it up.
Yeah, I mean it's only $75 on Amazon. To get
the fondue pot or
the fountain, a chocolate or cheese fountain, like something that will make liquid.
I just think those things are going to be really hard to clean. I've heard.
Yeah, you can't swap that out. Like if you try to like flip from cheese to chocolate, like that's going to be a bad time.
All right, let's get back to the show.
Well, one thing, connecting back to another show we've watched, Marriage or Mortgage, for one of the weddings, the bride's request is to have a ranch fountain.
Ugh.
What?
That was her request, and they made it happen. They set up like this whole like platter of things you can dip, and the flowing fountain of ranch. It was as disgusting as you thought.
I think the thing that gets me here is like, so you have a cheese fountain, it's hot cheese. You have a chocolate fountain, it's hot chocolate. Hot ranch, no thanks.
No, it's not hot. It was just.
I'm just saying, like, that's my mind goes right to like hot ranch because all the other things in a fountain are hot.
I'm with you, Chris. And the other thing is that like, because the fountain is like constantly recycling its stuff, it's going to be warmer than like normal condiments. So that's not going to be good.
Unless it goes through like a cold tube, Brian. Could be extra cold.
That's disgusting.
But who's making a fountain like that? Nobody.
Somebody making a ranch fountain, Brian. All right. Let's talk about Jody. She looks a lot like who, Noah?
Alanis Morissette,
There you go.
our favorite
And
Canadian.
this is where I didn't really like the host because she kept badgering Jody to sing a song,
Yeah.
and she's like, no, and she was like, and they went on for too long. Just like she said, no, let's move on. So her cheese set was a Route 66 inspired cheese set, and it looked great, especially the cheese platter. Like, just looked like a scene on the desert, and then you take it up, and there was like the road underneath. It was really like, see that in the store. That'd be great. It's a great cheese set.
It was very good.
Yeah, I definitely missed the Alanis Morissette joke somehow.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, I maybe would have like been more negative if I had heard that.
You want
I mean, it's just, I think that's one of my big issues is that was like the first jokes she was like saying, and I was like, okay, we're past this. Anyway, let's talk about Irina. She's Russian. She like roses. Her thing was all about roses, so she made like rose petals as like handles and stuff, and she painted flowers on the cheese platter. Looked fine. It looked good. Like, I thought it was gonna look terrible, and it looked decent. I don't think it was top, but
For the initial kiln thing, the person who was gonna do it was like, I'm really worried about these roses because they're kind of thin, but it turned out like perfect, and even like later like just held up really well, like to picking up, because like the roses were the handle. So great job.
To really put it in here, the person who does the kilning, or I'm assuming that's a word, is Rose. Her name is Rose Schmidt.
Oh, somebody's deep on that IMDb.
Yeah. Transgender kilner. Kiln expert.
That is a mouthful. Transgender kilner.
Yeah.
I do like the when she goes around and like it's like, oh, I don't know about this. That's a great segment.
I definitely learned a lot.
And she's Dutch. Shocking.
All right. Let's talk
also
about.
Brought back, I don't know if you did this in school, but like if you had like pottery classes, like they would tell you like some of this stuff, and like I have explicit memories of like, yep, that broke because it was too thin.
Yeah, I have like some memories of that. I'm just surprised she's Dutch. Like everyone on the show is British, yet they brought in Rose. It seems like she's just very good at pottery technique. Like she seems to be like world class. So they're like, all right, you want to come on the show?
I bet you she works at that kiln.
I don't know.
Hopefully we'll get to see her like demo like one of those like rapid challenges.
Wait, we have to take a step back here. Brian, you took pottery classes?
Yeah, that was like one of the things.
No way, you took pottery classes?
It was like a month or two in our art class in middle school.
Yeah, like they would split up like our art class, like, oh, you're gonna learn how to do this, and then another couple months you do this.
So you had like a pottery thing in your school? You had like a kiln? Like how does like?
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's wild because like who would authorize that?
Yeah, who other what schools you go to? These white rich people schools.
I didn't even go to like a very ritzy school. Very mainstream.
Yeah, definitely. You know, all those inner city schools have kilns for their pottery classes.
But like you weren't kilning during the day. Like they wouldn't like get that thing roaring with the kids around.
I mean, that's fine. So watching the show, knowing all the techniques and stuff, do you know anything? Did that help you at all?
I knew.
I remember.
Brian.
I remember scoring where like you would make like little like cross etches so that like you can like stick like two pieces of clay together and it would stick when like you fired it up.
Noah, did anything come to mind from this?
Literally, I just was glad I remembered the fact what a kiln was, and I was
my only experience is I did a paint sip where I painted pottery, and then they kilned it for like it's already the first step was done. I only did the second step, and I've got it sitting over here. It's a little gnome. It's I like it. I think it turned out pretty good. So there, all right, we're done with our experience. Let's get back to, let's talk about Jody. We talked about Jody.
Yeah.
Arena. Let's talk about Suze.
Suze.
Suze
Suze.
pirate themed.
Yeah.
And she did a really bad job. Like her pickle jars didn't open. So they're not jars, they're just
The decoration.
It's kind of some sort of clay thing.
I will say her art was like super ambitious. Like it was also not right to do, but it was super ambitious. She drew like all the hosts on like her cheese dome.
Yeah, cheese dome. And like that looked really good, except that wasn't done, and nothing else was done. There was no paint on anything else.
Yeah. When you're going to these rapid fire competitions, you got to keep it like simple enough.
You have to keep it way simpler than that. Hopefully she learns a lesson. I feel like sometimes week one, it's really tough to keep people off because they're just learning. Like they're just getting in the groove, you know?
Well, that's why I like the Lego show where like they kept them on for the first one.
I'm not sure that's why they kept them on, but like, yes.
It's not, but at the same time, like that format of just like, yeah, you're just on for a week. That great learning experience, and like you're gonna get better competition later.
I think that also another part, if you do that, is like you could have a 40-minute show and then introduce half the people, then the next week 40-minute episode, introduce the next half, and like you don't have to like cram in all these people in one episode.
That's a great point. But yeah, she would have definitely gone home if it wasn't for Alan, who was one of the youngest people on this show.
It wasn't Alan.
No, he was. I mean, you mentioned this before. Like, I think.
Yeah, but Alan wasn't the one that got kicked off.
No, that was Arrow.
Oh, yeah. Aaron. Whoops.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Well, let's talk about Alan. Alan did a gold acorn, kind of like nature themed kind of thing, and it like looked gold, and he was like, he just tried to he threw it up in the air. Was like, I hope this works. They were mentioning how like when I did the paint set, but it's just like when you paint these things, the color that you get at the end isn't the color you put in, because like just the fact of heating it up and the kind of paints you have to use is different than what you actually see. So he painted this thing, is like, whoop, hopefully that's gold or something, and it looked great. He did a great job.
Yeah.
What's wild is that like he also used like manganese in like his glaze, and that's like pretty toxic. So he was just like, this is a real risk.
Yeah, let me breathe that right in there. let me make sure I lick my fingers.
But he also did another like risky thing in that he made his cheese set square instead of round, and that's like you're like obviously like putting it on like the stand, like rotating, and then like he like shaped it, I think.
Yeah,
so that's just,
it was pretty cool.
I'm looking at the photo of Rob and the contestant. They look very, very similar. You are correct. They could be brothers. You're all right, let's talk about Ara. Ara, his was supposed to be some sort of family roots thing, and it ended up just being like white. It was just all white, and there was like a little color, but whatever he was trying to do didn't work. And you couldn't lift up the cheese plate or like the cheese dome from the plate, so it was useless. You couldn't get the pickle jars out. He was gone.
Yeah.
So I remember
he fucked up.
If I remember correctly, he was going more for texture versus like painted design, which can work, but like he obviously didn't execute. Like,
I don't know, when you got somebody doing Starry Night and like bees, and like we'll talk about the dog one, like just not competing. That's just not like this. You could sell this in a store because it's kind of bland and like, oh, that'd be kind of nice to even if I don't know exactly what he's trying to go for either.
I mean, you're going for like being technical, right? Because you're keeping it super simple, so you want to show off those details. And when you make that bet, and then the technical pieces don't come through, like you're kind of just screwed.
I mean, you're out.
Yeah, you're done.
So yeah, he is done. That was easily the worst. Followed closely, I think, behind the Treasure Island one was real bad.
Yeah, those are the only two that like just felt unfinished. And when it's like that, you have to like clear who's going to go home.
Yeah.
And they just agreed with us.
Yeah. Let's talk about Peter quickly. His was like an Art Deco piece, he claimed. I didn't get that. I think it looked pretty bad, actually. Like, it looked like a cohesive piece. You could tell me that you tried to make it something, but it looked like nothing.
They pointed out that like Art Deco is more precise than anything else. And you could tell that like nothing about his thing was precise. Like there were just like little like imperfections, like, oh, the lid is like a little bit above like the rim. Like it's not flush. So like those things immediately like you're not fitting the style that you went for. So
yeah, didn't do great this week. Then we got Sal, which she had some sort of dog and cheese theme, where literally she wrote dog and cheese like on
my
her
dog
thing
loves cheese
and made like dog figurines and like put them as lids for her pickle jars and her cheese plate. Like looked really technically really good for like 3 hours and I guess 5.5 hours total. I thought it was a little weird to have dogs and cheese together. Like dogs do love cheese. That's fair.
They did.
It's one of the ones I wouldn't buy in the store just because I think it's so weird. But like if you're looking technically at like her theming and all the things you're gonna look for in terms of like the pickle jars looking the same and being like the hardest pickle jars in the group that looked the same, I think she did an amazing job.
Yeah, that's definitely like a gift that we get somebody who owns a dog.
A dog that looks like the dogs in the and then they'd get it, they're like, oh yes, and then they stick it in the back of their drawer and like maybe use it.
What's great about Sal is like she crushed both competitions. She came in first in like the challenge competition and first in this. Like she was, and the amount of detail she put into this was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm putting her like in the front running for like the finals.
The thing to note here is that Sal has been doing this like probably all her adult life, right? And then you've got somebody that's 20 years old doing this. Like, there's a lot of experience going on between the two, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, every time we have these competition shows, we have to like kind of put this on like the scale of amateur to like best in the world. And like, they're clearly going for like slightly above amateur level, like, you know, and not like amateur, but they're not professional and they're definitely not top of the world, right? Like, I think I would love a pottery competition with top of the world. Like that would be so cool. I think, you know, I want you to go and make me, I don't know, a Lord of the Rings diorama. Go. You've got 2 days. Come back to me. Yeah. Or like, even great would be like a Forge of Fire kind of thing where like, go back to your home shop, make it for me, come back 5 days. I want to, and like those things would be so cool.
Yeah.
Make me a real working train set. That would be amazing.
That'd be cool.
Oh man.
I mean, they definitely show like the next episodes. Like it looks like it starts to get very technical quickly.
Yeah. There was like some sort of city building thing. That looks kind of cool. I'd like to see them make some city stuff. That would be interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of the whole episode. Should we get to questions? We can get into some minor minutia and stuff in there.
Do it up.
All right. Since this is Great British Bake Off, let's skip the worst human being. I think everyone's here is fine, and there's not like anyone to really.
No, I definitely wrote down at some point this show is wholesome AF, and I'm sticking by that. Nobody's bad.
Yeah.
Maybe the bucket is bad. Like, can I vote the bucket? The bucket of doom.
Yeah. I apparently just closed my tab with all the questions on it, so I don't have them. So I'll have to come up with them.
We can do like a drinking rule next.
The next one's usually the host. She already talked about the host, but is this her apex? Noah, do you know?
Ooh, give me 1 second. I'm gonna say maybe, but not guaranteed.
My bet would be yes, but
I'm gonna go with no. I think that like she's probably done like a lot of stuff before, and it's like HBO snagged her for this thing. Like they explicitly changed for this season.
Yeah, but they could have changed because the other person didn't want to do it or wasn't very good. It doesn't mean that this person's gonna like if they
So
were satisfied with the last person, then they wouldn't have changed.
so her main she's been in a couple things. Her main claim to fame is being on a sitcom called Dairy Girls, where she
Okay.
was a main character.
Oh yeah, this
It seems
that's
to be
A plus
popular.
for sure.
Yep. That's
This
it.
is not. You're in a sitcom. Yeah, it's better than this. But this is global reach though. So I mean, I think there's a case to be made.
Yeah. Um, Unclear how popular Dairy Girls is or was, but I think it was pretty big.
Let's go into baffling or cringeworthy moments. I think we talked about essentially them throwing the chalices in the rubbish bin, or what did they call it, Brian? The bin of doom.
Bucket of Doom. The Bucket of Doom.
I thought it was the bin of doom.
I wrote down Bucket of Doom, so I don't know. We both could be wrong or right.
I think they might have called it the bucket, and then started using the word bin because it's a UK based show.
Oh, true.
Um,
I'll
I
say
don't know
one
if I
thing that's
have any
cringe.
other ones than that. Well, I thought it was cringy when they were trying to get Alana Morissette to sing a song, as I've already
Yeah.
gone over.
I'll say that like it was cringy at the end when Aaron was going home. Like everybody's hugging, and then like Sal went in like for a kiss. I was like, this is wild in COVID times, and I had to remember that like this is a bubble and
At
everything
least,
else.
they've all had negative COVID tests to get in that bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into some minor minutia. I got some. The judge said that like one of the things was it's a pleasure to look at, that like in a weird way, and I thought that was kind of was a good quote. Brian, you have any?
One of the jokes is just like, oh no, it was the comedian. I was like, I'm open to a little bit of bribery.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some. So Sue's the one that almost went home. The like producers asked her, "So what's next?" After she almost got kicked off, and she was like, "Try to take over the world," which I thought was great. That was
Love
a good
it.
minutia. One more I have is Irina. I don't know how to spell it. Whatever.
Irina.
She in her chalice challenge named all her chalices, and I thought that was almost like a way to get the judges to not throw her chalices away, because you can't throw away something that you've like it's harder to throw away things that are morphized than not, right? So I thought
Yep.
that was good. That's all I got for you.
Yeah. So one follow up. It was filmed in the fall of 2020. Pretty minor minutia. But I was interested in how it's filmed in this town called Stoke-on-Trent, which is just so British. So I had to look into Stoke-on-Trent in my minor minutia. It's nearby Cocknage, which is kind of great. And
Cockney?
Cocknage. There's all these fun little like British towns nearby. They all just sound very British, which is great.
Yeah, it's very British.
But Stoke-on-Trent is known for pottery. There's a pottery museum, and like when you Google Stoke-on-Trent, it's like, yeah, we're known for pottery. So I think like you don't know that from not being in Britain, but like it seems like this is like going to Cooperstown for a baseball show.
Can you explain to our audience about Cooperstown?
It's where the Baseball Hall of Fame is.
And isn't that where they do the Little League Hall of Fame, like World Series or something? Or is that somewhere else?
I don't know. Maybe that sounds right, but I'm not positive.
All right. Let's get into our next question. We got drinking rules. Brian, give me your drinking rule.
All right, I got one for like the first half of the show. He's always yelling at me that like I'm getting too ham on this. So every time you like people throw down the clay onto the wheel, like you hear that slap.
Oh, that's a good one. That's great. Noah.
every time they announce how much time is left, take a drink.
That's a good one. Keep thinking of ones because we're gonna go back around. I think that one would be good anytime somebody screws up, like they like lose their thing in the wheel and they have to start over, or if like even later if something falls on the floor, smashes. Like, take a drink,
Oh,
Ryan.
something I've always wondered, like, what if like one of like the judges just drops something? Like, that's
Would
had to
that,
happen
would
at
that,
some
would
point.
that kiln person drop something? He just
Oh,
drops
man.
that tray.
Ooh, you have to take a shot every time somebody cries.
Well, the guy cries all the time. You can't do like
Okay,
a shot
sorry,
has to
not
be
a,
like
not a shot.
one.
I
Just
thought he like cried less.
take a couple drinks when that guy cries.
Yeah, I was mostly thinking of Sal, but
Yeah, the other guy, the Keith or whatever. No, do you have another drinking rule?
ooh,
I don't even know if I have another one.
I got another one.
No.
Go
You
ahead,
have to
Brian.
drink every time Siobhan ever says a bad joke, and you have to drink double if you laugh at it.
That's a good one. I like that one. I think you just got to take a drink for the winner. You got to cheers them. It's a classic. All right, let's go on to our next question. Would the show be better as a Quibi?
No,
I agree.
Yeah.
there's a
would
lot
not
of
be as
detail that
good
goes
as a
into
Quibi.
this.
Let's do what show inspired this show, which we kind of already did. But just remind you again, it's a Great British Bake Off, but Pottery edition. That's it. That's all that really matters. Let's do our last question. We have
Asexual line of TV species.
Yeah, whatever inspired them is a direct line to this. We do a stack ranking system where we do a top, middle, bottom, third compared to other reality shows. And some people stack rank in their stack ranks. Brian, what do you got for me?
I'm doing bottom to top. I think this is on par with like Jim Henson's Creature Show. I really like this format. I think it's very wholesome, and I'm interested to see what comes out of it. Like I'm probably gonna watch this just like I watched the Jim Henson show.
No, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I was torn between top of the middle, bottom and top, but I gotta go with Brian. Bottom, definitely in the top, bottom of the top. Because this is a very good show. I can't put my finger on it, but like it just doesn't feel like top of the top. Maybe I think if like the host was at like Amy Poehler funny from the show we watched with her and Nick Swartzen, like I could see that making it. Yep, like I can see that like really bumping it up. I think I'm gonna push it there for that reason. But top, bottom, top, I also probably will watch more of this at a minimum for background TV.
Yeah, I think this is top third. I think this is great. I think for me, competition shows have to be somewhat artistic and just kind of upbeat, and you'll probably be in the top third. Well, the glass blowing show just kind of like, I don't know what went wrong there. Not good. But this show is good. I like the people. I like seeing what they made. I like the challenge this week. And I'm excited to see what people do. Like, I think that I'd be really invested to see some cool pottery. Like that's what I'm here for. So unanimous top third. Doesn't happen like ever. This might be the only one this season. I don't know.
Coming up on this season was actually pretty good. It got me excited versus like other ones where it seemed like it spoiled everything.
Yeah.
On a quick little thing. So I looked into who was the parent of the Great British Bake Off. It was the producer of the Great British Bake Off was talking to a friend, and she's like, "Yeah, there's these bake offs in America." And she was inspired to turn that into a TV show.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Nailed it.
One thing to note, future production note, is in 2 weeks, we're going to have our season finale where we do top 5, bottom 5 of the whole season. So that's going to be really fun. Join in for that. That's always fun. Also can be kind of a long episode sometimes. So Looking forward to that though. Brian, do you have a shout out this week?
I'm still on board with the Mighty Ducks show. And I've recently read a review where it's like, and it kind of captures why I like it. It's a parody of like remakes a little bit. So
So
I'm
it's
just
a
enjoying that.
satire of itself.
Yeah. But it's also very wholesome. The second shout out is another repeat, The Circle. I know that last week I think I may have said, hey, like it's not as good. I maybe wouldn't have watched it if like this was season one. After watching the last like 4 episodes, I'm back on board. Like they did a lot that was like kind of interesting for the game.
All right. There you have it. Noah, we got a shout out this week.
Yeah. I forgot what I said last time. Sorry if I'm being repeats here. The Serpent on Netflix. I finished it. It's a limited series. Highly recommend about a serial killer in Thailand. And then been watching more Marriage or Mortgage. Really easy, like just nighttime TV. Obviously full of bullshit, but still enjoyable. And then lastly, I need to throw it back to my all-time church of John Oliver. Every week delivers the goods. Thank you, John Oliver.
It's a weird shout out this week. You didn't even have an episode, but
Yeah, but he's just it's church. He's always in our hearts.
okay. I got a shout out this week. I'm watching a season of Alone, which is a show we've done where people go into the wilderness and the last one there wins $500,000. And man, it's not a very good show. It's a pretty decent sideshow. Not a whole lot happens. They're just in the wilderness and like, for, I don't know, 12 hours we're watching these people and there's just not that much happening. But like to watch these people just go more and more insane as they are like not eating or just cold and miserable and alone for like months and it's like a hard show to watch by the end of it. Like the last episode's just like, I don't know, why am I still watching this? These people, like, I just don't like to watch people be in like, these are like, this is real torture, essentially. They're torturing themselves to a point. At least
This
some of
is
them are.
season 8.
I think I'm watching season 6.
Mm.
This was on Hulu.
I wonder if in a different time it might have been a little bit more acceptable. It's still not great, but at the same time, like right now, it feels like bad.
I just think that I don't need to see these people suffer. So like this, but I like the idea, and these people are doing it to themselves. It's just like it really hit me when somebody went home because of medical reasons, and they're sitting there like, "No, don't send me home. I need this," and they're like literally just like insane at that point. They're like lost like 50% of their body weight, and they're like, you haven't been eating. Like you need to go home. Like, sorry, we can't have you die on this TV show.
Yeah, that's too dark.
Right? That's just dark. Like it was fine until then. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this show.
This is the one taking place in the Arctic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're in the Arctic Circle. Like there's like at some point, like they put them there in the fall and it just gets to like the winter. There's like nothing, there's no food anymore. All their fresh water freezes. Like they have to like break into the ice shelves to get water. Like it's fucking nuts.
I'm just looking across seasons, so there's no spoiler here. Like the amount of like medically evaluated as a reason of leaving is like, oh buddy.
Like the this show keep getting renewed?
For some of these people, like that's like you'll never get them out unless they win or that happens. Like they'll just sit there and like kill themselves.
I like how one reason of like why someone left was didn't like being alone.
Yeah, there's definitely somebody that left because they were like, I need my family. I can't do this anymore. They left.
You might have picked the wrong show, buddy.
I mean, the thing is like, you're like, I could do this. And then it like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like people are out there for like 3 months. And they're like doing this for their family. I'm like, dude, you just left your family for 3 months.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's an interesting show. I think that it's like a compelling thing to see humans go out and survive in like this crazy environment. I just think the ends are just so rough that it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. You can find us on Twitter at whowiththison and facebook.com/whowiththison. You can email us questions, suggestions at whowiththison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time. When somebody gives up, they think Brian froze.
No.
Did I? No.
Oh, you just haven't moved.